Right, boys, that will do for today. Alan, collecting the bibs and the cones if you could. Oh, hold on a second. Let's see what this clown wants. What do you mean he's here now? In the car park? Has he got a report for us? Has he seen them play? Well, don't mess with my emotions, Nom. Tell me, is this going to be a golden generation or not? Oh, for... And we'll start with news on yours truly, because we've managed to somehow trick the board into paying for a coaching course for us, which we completed in about 10 weeks. Thank you very much. Fast learner. And it means that we're now a National C licence coach, so we might be a little bit more use out on the training ground, because I've been leaning on Alan and the other coaches pretty heavily up until now. Our board rating is pretty good at the moment, so I'm thinking in another couple of weeks we might just mosey our way into the boardroom and ask if they'll also fund the B licence for us, which could be a big ask because the finances are not great. We are £43,000 overdrawn now. I'm hoping that when we get to the end of the season and those season tickets start to come in again, because I think we have more than 80 season ticket holders, it might be that we have a little bit of funding where we might be able to just scrape together enough cash for us to go and do another course. But to that report on the youth intake first of all, and remember, we've got fairly good facilities for this level. We've got great youth facilities, good academy coaching, and excellent youth recruitment. So I was more than hopeful that we were about to roll out a new batch of fabulous prospects, which we might need to wait a year before we could see them in action, but they would at least be worth waiting for. Don't get excited, anybody. I'm afraid we've been sent through a bit of a batch of duffers. I think there's going to be 3 players and 3 only that we might be able to get anything out of. Let's take a look at them. We're going to have an A-grade defensive midfielder coming through and an A-grade striker who is considered a fine prospect, so that is good. The other positive is that we've only got 1 goalkeeper at the entire club at any level whatsoever, and a C-grade youth intake goalkeeper is coming through. But after that, I'm afraid it is a complete bust. Central midfielders of an E, wide and attacking midfielders of the same grade. Don't get any hopes about wingers coming through. They will also be an E, and those are the highlights because the fullbacks and the centre-backs are both graded at Fs, and we really needed some upgrades in our defence. So it looks like we could be in a little bit of trouble there, which does beg the question, what do we make of our head of youth development, Dennis Minaric? Now, he's only been at the club for about, 4 months or so. Maybe that's not enough time for him to have had any impact on the batch of youngsters that are coming through. Maybe we've got to give him another year, but his deal is up at the end of the season. He's got a fairly professional personality. That might be one that we could improve on. What we don't know is what his global reputation is, and that has an impact on the youth players that he might attract. And we also don't know what any of his coaching attributes are either, or his judging player ability or judging player potential. They are all a complete mystery to us. Perhaps the best course of action is to wait for these plodders to arrive, and we'll see just how duff they are before we make a call on Dennis's future. But poor youth prospects are the least of our worries at the moment, because I think we're in a world of trouble. Since we've seen you for our last episode, it's all gone wrong. We've been unbeaten since that last game, and it's left us top of the league. We've got a game in hand on the teams below us. If we win that, we're going to be going, 9 points clear by the end of today's episode, and we'll only have 11 games left to play. It's an absolute disaster, because if we get promoted out of this division for next season, I think we are going to be in a world of trouble, because it's becoming abundantly clear that we're just not going to have any players left next season to make a squad out of. Datcherman is our best performing centre-back. He's currently on loan, and there's no guarantees that we'd be able to get him to return next season, or I haven't even decided whether I'm going to allow myself to bring players who are on loan back next season. I might have to, out of necessity, because Datchman and Krupic and Shernay are all potentially going to be missing for next season. Our best performing left back, Ivan Makovic, is still refusing to enter into contract negotiations, and he looks like he could leave on a free transfer at the end of the season. We're also going to be saying goodbye, in all likelihood, to Clement Kunstul, who's 41 years old now and is still the best of our midfielders. And he's another player that just will not enter into contract negotiations. So at the moment, we've only got one more player registered to us than we've got spaces in our matchday squad. As you can see, when we get an injury or a suspension, that means that we've only got just enough bodies to fill the bench. With 3 loan players and 2 players potentially leaving at the end of their contracts, that would mean that we'd only have 15 players left at the club, and we can't play our youth players until their 17th birthday. Now, the reason we're only going to have 15 players and not 16 is partly self-inflicted, because I have sold Albert Ratchik, the club captain, who had been complaining and undermining me almost since I walked through the door. He was going to be out of contract at the end of the season. He's 34 years old and he's our 3rd choice left back. So I've binned him off in order to try and improve the club atmosphere and dynamics. But it does mean that that's another player that we're not going to have at our disposal next season. So we could be looking potentially at moving up a division, and we could be going into that season with just 15 players that we can select from. So here is that little run of form that we've been on, and it's been mighty fine. You saw us giving away a 2-goal lead and having a man sent off to draw 2-2 with Aluminium in our last game, and we drew the next game after that before we went on a pretty good run. We travelled to Rudar in our next game and were 2-0 up by half-time, and although they scored early in the second half, we hung on for a 2-1 win. And the next game we really started to find our form. We hosted Beltinci, and this time it was a comfortable 2-0 win with Grigorin on the scoresheet. We then played in the cup against our parent club Domjala, and we played all of our reserve players and lost the game 3-0. But that meant we were fresh for our next league game as we won 3-0 against NAFTA, Grigorin scoring a brace. And the winning run continued, first with a comfortable 2-0 victory over Primore and a rare goal for Šípek, followed by a 2-1 victory with Old Man Kunstul again on the scoresheet. In our next game, we finally dropped points when we played Kershko, and we probably didn't deserve to. Grigorin gave us the lead, and our opponent scored in the 94th minute. But we were back to winning ways in the next game, as Grigorin was again on the scoresheet, a rich run of form in a 2-1 victory. And in our last fixture before a lengthy winter break, we were superb. Grigorin bagging himself a hat-trick as we managed to score 6 goals past our opponents, meaning that we're now on a 12-game run since we've experienced defeat in the league. And all achieved using the same tactical instructions that we left you with in our last episode. Moving a central midfielder down to be a DM has been an absolute masterstroke. Another thing that's helped is something that was suggested by old Salty B down in the comments section, who noted that Kasnic might have been better suited to being the central midfielder on attack rather than being the supporting role, and Kiglar moved across. Well, Kasnic has been exactly that and would be playing there today did we not have a suspension to Clement Kunstul. So coming into the side is a player who's not really got a lot of football this season. This is Max Poshashar, who's made, 2 appearances off the bench and only had 1 start. He's not really impressed that much, but he's going to get an opportunity today. And another player we're going to try and give a little bit more game time to is Nech Levech. He's made 6 appearances from the bench and has only had 1 start as well. But we've just played him in some warm-up games during the winter break, and he looked good. And I will be honest with you, we've not really settled on a first choice left winger out there, because whoever we've picked, they've not always really impressed. Certainly when we give a game to Šípek out there, he struggled to really have the impact that we hoped that he would. And when Grigorin moves out to that side of the pitch, he's nowhere near as effective as he is when he's a striker. The player, I guess, who's performed the best is Dino Zenkovic. He's got 4 goals but only 1 assist, and he's had 9 starts plus 8 further appearances from the bench, and he really does blow hot and cold. Yes, he does pop up with the occasional goal, but otherwise he throws in some pretty suspect performances. So we're going to give the nod to Levech today and see whether he can cement himself a place in the squad for the run into the end of the season, because at just 24 years old, he could be a slightly more senior presence for us, because otherwise we've got a lot of young heads. If we do go on and seal promotion, we are going to be in a world of trouble, not just getting a squad together next season, but even trying to pick up a point next season. But we might be getting ahead of ourselves. We've got a lot of work to do in the final 11 games of the season for that to be the case. Let's see what we're going to be up against today as we show you the scout report on a team who are 4th placed in the league. 4th place they may be, but a victory today over us and they could climb as high as 2nd. And in pre-season, the media had them as clear favourites to win the title. Going into the winter break, Triglav had won just 2 games out of the previous 6. But they boast a real danger man in the shape of Lamine Junior Tall. Coach Safet Hadzic has been praising us in the press, but that reeks of mind games as his Triglav side welcome Dob to their stadium. So let's see how we get on today in some quite wintry conditions at Triglav. We've got the blue lines and the frost on the pitch. I think we're going to miss Clement Kunstl today, by the way. At 41 years old, he's more than twice the age of many of our players, and he's a very calming presence, and he's also quite a creative force at the base of our midfield. He gets hold of the ball and sets off lots of our attacks, and the players that we've just had to shuffle around to cover for his absence, I'm not sure we'll be able to do the same job as well. However, with 2 minutes on the clock, we did say that we're looking to see whether Levech can cement a claim for a first team place, and he's taken just 2 minutes to fire us in the lead. It's Kiglar, who is now a central midfielder on support with a couple of nice little PIs to make him more of a playmaker for us. He's escaped down the right, centre ball in, and Levech has given us the lead. With 10 minutes gone, we've picked the ball up with Dachman in our defence, and he's moved it across the pitch to Mitrovic. Here's Makovic, the player who we are most desperate to sign a new contract. He's been superb as a left-back, not just with his defending, but also with the assist that he's got galloping up that left flank. But I think we might lose him on a free at the end of the season. Here's the other newcomer to the team, Pogacar, and Levech has now got a cross in that really should have been an assist because Grigorin has just spooned one over the bar. We've only had 2 shots in the entire game, but still our XG is high. That Grigorin miss really should have gone in. We're approaching the half-hour mark. It's a game that's been short on chances. In fact, Triglav maybe are going to be disappointed that they are behind, and they're going to try and address that now with an indirect free kick that they've sent into the box. But now here comes the Kig on the counter-attack. He's got players wide and through the centre. He's got a little burst of pace, and he's got to the line. Cut it back for Grigorin, who has fired another one over the bar. With 2 minutes to go till the break, we're coming forward again. We've tried to send a ball down the left through Pogacar, but that was a poor effort. We've given it to our opponents. We've got to win the ball back. We're beaten in the air. And now we've got some defending to do. They've got Che over on the right flank. They've tried to go behind our defence. Dachman with a delicate little nod back to Firmashek. Now let's see if we can build up an attack of our own. The 2 centre-halves play it between them. And now we're going to Levech. He's been heavily involved so far. Been pretty impressed with him. And he's averaging an 8 for the chance and the goal that he's put together. We've got Grigorin. He's been a bit more wasteful, but that is a good ball. Here is the right winger, Gajic. He's got it across. Pogacar's gone down in the box. The ref's given a pen, and Old Man Kunstl is our normal penalty taker. So instead, we've got Levech stepping up, and he scored his 2nd of the game, and didn't he slot that away pretty coolly? He showed a bit of composure from the spot. I leave the players to decide for themselves who the penalty taker is going to be in an ode to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, because I've got no idea who the best penalty taker in the squad is. Levech grabbed the ball and has sent us into half-time 2-0 up. Early on in the second half, here come our opponents trying to get an early response to our 2-goal lead. Levech is trying to close down. He can't get anywhere near the ball. And now Che's got it into our box. It's Schweiger. It's Jakupovic. And they have got a goal back early. Maybe I should have changed our tactic at half-time to hold on a bit more, see if we could navigate the first 10 to 15 minutes of the second half. I've been asleep at the wheel. I didn't make that move. And now the game is back in the balance. That was very close to being offside. But I think Triglav would probably be a little bit irked that they were 2-0 down, having had a fairly even first half. And now we're getting towards the hour mark, and it's just 2-1. We're going to let this passage of play go through, and then we're going to think about substitutes, because we've got Pogacar in midfield playing poorly, and we've got Grigorin up front playing poorly, and now he's just got sent off. This seems like Groundhog Day. Okay, we've got a bit of a puzzle to solve. This is how we've done it. We're going to do away with our wide men and change our shape a little bit. Levec is going to stay on the pitch and go up front for the vacant spot now that Grigorin's been sent off. We're going to take off our right winger Luka Gajic. Instead, we've brought on this player, Taddy Rems, who can play as a holding midfielder. So he's going to sit in front of the back four. It means that we've now got Kaznic moving into midfield. And we're also going to make another change there where Max Pogacar has been pretty poor this game. So we're going to be bringing on loan Edvin Krupic to play as the more attacking of our midfield three. So a straight red and a 6.1 rating for Grigorin. Not great, but we've got through to 71 minutes and we're still level. And now we've got Makovic on the edge of our box trying to break. He's not done a very good job at it. He's had 2 chances to bring the ball clear, and he's lost it on both occasions, and now we've got defending to do. We're looking pretty compact around the middle, but it's going to be out wide where I guess we're a little bit more vulnerable now that we're down to 10 men. They've sent the ball through to Che. He's raced past our defence. He's got the ball over to Kregar. In fact, you can see where they've got men all over the pitch spare. We've got away with one there. We've got a passage of play to try and see out first, though. Here they come again. You can see how deep we're sitting across our box. They've got all the space in the world to turn, shoot, or play in a man. Fortunately, Timmy Zidane has mopped up for us, and he's played an aimless ball across the field, something you always teach youngsters never to do. And Lamine Jr. fires a shot straight at the keeper. And we've got, just a few seconds to try and see out what will be an important win against a very good side. We are now at the end of the 4 minutes that was added on, and the referee has put us out of our misery. We've managed to snag 3 points despite the fact that we had a man sent off. It's going to give us a very big lead at the top of the table. One I'm not sure we want. And there we have it, 11 games to play, 9 points clear, and this is not the season any of us wanted. We could be faced with the horrific prospect that we might be promoted in our first season in what is your favourite FM23 series.